After being proclaimed as a draft sleeper by two legendary wide receivers in Steve Smith and Randy Moss, Tillman was a guy that I had my eyes on coming out of the 2023 draft class. Didn't get much opportunity playing behind Amari Cooper, but finally, things have shaken his way, and starting week 7, he has had two back-to-back elite performances, scoring 18.1 and 28.9 points, drawing 12 and 9 targets in those two games. Today, we're going to give you the fantasy implications by looking at the film and some advanced stats and tell you if Tillman is just a flash in the pan or he can truly be a league winner for your fantasy football team. Starting in week 7 against the Bengals, hands down the most important thing we need to see is, can Tillman win near the line of scrimmage? Can he win when the quarterback has to get the ball out quick? Because when he's playing in a below average offense in the Browns and a below average quarterback in Jameis Winston, these clips we're going to see Dorian Thompson-Robinson as well, can he make his life easier for the quarterback? Now, Winston does love to throw the deep ball, and we'll see that later on as well, but Tillman needs to make his job easier. So we're going to see him at the top of your screen right here. It's going to be a zone concept where this cornerback is extremely far off because he's not actually playing the flat. This cornerback right here is actually going to pop into the zone. So what Tillman needs to do well on this route is he needs to recognize it. He needs to use his big frame to box out and make this catch. You're going to see, does a good job breaking down. 1-2, stops, is open. You can see the cornerback start to break, and he does a good job getting in position. The ball is on him, sits down. Nice completion here for Tillman. Deshaun Watson at the helm right here, but I do want to make note that Tillman is 6'3", 215, so it's going to be very important to see how he moves. Right here, we're going to see him kind of leak out of the backfield on this play fake. You'll see Watson pretend to hand the ball off, and you'll see Tillman at the bottom of your screen run across, clear. He moves incredibly well. That definitely could have been a lot more yards. Could have given him a chance to show off his yak ability if it was thrown in stride, but does a good job leaping up, catching the ball, and getting a few yards falling forward. Another route on the outside for Tillman, he's going to kind of just run, again, a nice little sit down. You're going to see, get the ball out quick, and if he can do that, that's the name of the game. Good job, Tillman, getting between these defenders. 1, 2, 3, but does a great job, even with the throw behind him. That was also a nice adjustment where he's expecting it to get here, sit down, and pick up about 4 or 5 yards. Does a good job adjusting to the ball. It's actually on his back shoulder, and just falls forward again for a few more yards. We just touched on how Tillman needs to win, so we have this PFF data to back up our claims. Here you can see in 2024, he's playing about 32% of his snaps from the slot. Not surprising given his 6'3", 215 stature. And you can also see 4.54 speed. Not bad. Pretty good. Makes him fluid for his size, but also not a speed demon. And you can see 66.7% out wide. It's also worth noting, though, that last year he played a little more in the slot. So close to 40%. It's somewhat in his bag. And I think that kind of just contributes to the fact that later we'll see his yak ability really shine. And that it's nice to see that he can do it when called upon. He's not an 80-85% wide guy. This is honestly a really good percentage and split to look at. Last thing I want to do is look at the snaps, routes run, and targets from week 7. Also, big shout out to PFF and Nathan Janke for the graph that they've created. They do a ton of good work, so I would highly recommend checking them out. But Jerry Jeudy is still the main guy. They paid him a ton of money. He operates as their X receiver alpha guy, but he had the least targets. You see, Tillman gets 11. He's the clear alpha. That's almost essentially double the other receivers. You see Njoku down there at 13 as well. He is also a big beneficiary from the Deshaun Watson injury and seeing the backup quarterbacks. In this game, it was a lot of Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but also Jameis Winston take over. Fantastic game. Tillman's getting on the field in week 7, having the second most snaps among wide receivers and also getting on the field the same amount as Njoku. Actually running routes as well, 47 routes, but only behind Jeudy, ahead of Njoku, and ahead of Elijah Moore as well. Here's a clip with Winston finally, and at the bottom of your screen, we're going to see this be a longer developing play, but this is, again, just a really deep curl route, and he just does such a good job finding the soft spot in the zone, not trying to do too much. Like right here, you'll see. The play breaks down pretty quick. Winston is under pressure. he's forced to step up. You see Tillman at the bottom of your screen. He's kind of just chilling, hanging out. These cornerbacks are, all right, I'm ready to make a play if Winston throws this way. But he extends the play longer. They're kind of just expecting Tillman to drift somewhere in the middle of the field, and that's not their responsibility anymore. To the sidelines, right into them, they'll just drop back. But it does a good job just recognizing, setting his feet, and just staying put. Delivers, is able to catch the ball right there, and turn upfield again. Does a nice job putting a move on the first guy. But honestly, doing a little did a lot there. He just moved slightly left and right, found the soft spot, stayed in the soft spot, rather than trying to overcomplicate the position. And that just shows a great IQ for such a young player. Now, really on my first watch, I didn't really find any negatives against Tillman. This was the major glaring hole where when he's asked to run with the ball in space, I think he does move very well for his size. Again, 6'3", 215. But I did see a few screen passes. We'll see one right here. And they try and get out to him very much in space. Again, screen pass versus down the field in space is a big difference. Gets it right here. I mean, honestly, he has a block there. One man to beat. You see this defender closing in. A decent tackle, but you can just tell Tillman is not going anywhere. He has a good yak ability once he gets going, but if you ask him to get him, the ball on the screen, I don't really see that becoming a big part of his game. And that's just something that you're going to have to deal with. Obviously, it would be nice, but that's going to open up more opportunities down the field and increase, on top of those, 4 or 5 yard, 10-yard curl routes, he's going to rely on those routes and the deep ball. I did want to take a look at the snap counts from week 8. You see Tillman have 9 targets, so that is second on the team, behind Elijah Moore. And the math doesn't really math because Moore is behind Njoku and all the receivers in not only routes run, but snaps as well, yet he has 12 targets. That's not something that's very sticky, and I expect to continue over. I think this was kind of a one-off game for Elijah Moore. I also don't really believe in him. I truly do think that if we were going to see an Elijah Moore breakout, or even really a big Elijah Moore flash, we would have seen at this point. Again, Judy at the top of the totem pole, we can kind of expect that. But we can still see Tillman. Again, these guys are getting 12 targets in Elijah Moore, and Njoku only had 6. But there's 12 targets here and 7 targets for Judy, and then 6 for Njoku, so that's 18 plus 25 other targets, and Tillman can still get 9. You have Jameis Winston here. This is the Jameis Winston effect. He's providing volume. The quality of the targets may not be the best. Helping your team may not be the best because you're going to throw up a lot of picks. But for fantasy, Jameis Winston is a huge, huge, huge upgrade over Deshaun Watson. So here we're still working in the middle of the field, and we have Winston at quarterback. It's week 8 now against the Ravens, and this is going to be a very basic slant. You see Tillman is going to get pressed up on, and I just want to watch this release right here. On the cornerback, does a good job cutting inside right away, and he doesn't try and do too much. Again, he just sees that he has a lane, gets open, good throw by Winston as well. And again, right here, this is the yak ability versus the screen ability. Here, he's already going. He has a few defenders in front of him, right? So this is a tough play. This is not a walk-in by any means. 1, 2, not really anyone here behind him. He just has to not be extremely slow and get caught. But here, open field opportunity, makes a man miss, 2 guys on him, lunges forward into the end zone, and gets that touchdown. Again, I really, really think that he is going to be a fantastic receiver because of his size and yak ability. I really love this. It stood out to me on film. He's not going to be a guy that blows you away, getting screen passes like Xavier Worthy, getting manufactured touches out of the backfield. But with that ball in his hands, he looks fantastic, and he has that big playability. I truly believe from what I've seen, when he gets targeted down the field, 10 yards down the field, 15 yards down the field, he has the potential to break out big plays, which could turn into 20-point, 30-point weeks, and eventually win you your league. Now on that slant, we talked about Tillman not doing too much. Here he actually has to use his hands, and we'll kind of see. Quick swipe away again, just making it simple. He's not going to hand fight for a long time, get caught up because he can't afford to do that in this situation. Does a good job, hands on him, swipes away, gets toward the middle of the field, uses his body very well. Fantastic throw as well, but just great pickup by Tillman there for about 6-7 yards. I just want to take a quick break to thank you guys so much for watching the videos. And you guys can now join the channel, get access to a ton of our perks, including priority replies, shoutouts, all that good stuff. And the top tier now has the ability to request a film breakdown that we'll put on YouTube for thousands of people to see. You want to see a player from your favorite team broken down that we might not get the chance to unless you request it, you can now do so. Just subscribe to that top tier. Message us on social media, email, or Instagram will work best, and we will get that video out for you guys ASAP. Again, thank you guys so much for the support. The link is in the description and the comments if you guys do want to join. And let's jump right back into the video. We talked about Tillman not doing too much on that last play in press coverage, but here he is going to have to use his hands, fight off this cornerback, and this is something that he does extremely well. You're not going to see it a lot on film because a lot of corners recognize that they shouldn't press the 6'3" receiver because he is very good at that, but he is fantastic at beating press when given the opportunity. Right here, you'll see quick little hand swipe. They are connected. Does a good job getting away, using his body. He now has a great angle to the quarterback. Very easy window. Gets the ball. Two guys on him. At first glance, I thought he was easily going down right here, but again, he can make plays happen. Brush these two guys off, somehow stays on his feet, and gets an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 yards. Phenomenal play by Tillman. His film is just littered with great plays like these. And these are also the kind of plays that not only, get you a few more fantasy points, but those are the plays that get you on the field. The name of the game is in fantasy is volume, and getting more snaps, running more routes is how you're going to score more fantasy points. How do you do that? Do the things that the coaches want to see, and fighting for extra yards is something I always look for in these videos because that directly correlates to coach trust, which directly correlates to playing more, which also directly correlates to scoring more fantasy points. Going back against the Bengals, gonna be a nice little simple crosser again, just showing that he can be a very nice safety valve. For his quarterback, here you have DTR, just does a good job staying in the middle of the field, staying patient like we saw on that deep curl right here, does a good job sitting down, and does a good job just fighting forward, gets the extra yard. So now that we're looking at plays more in the middle of the field, we want to see if he has that full route tree. Basically the same kind of concept, but here it's going to be more of a not drawn out play. Does a good job getting behind these two defenders, using his hands early on, and making the catch right there. Does a good job again getting those extra yards, falling forward. We saw him win on the outside on those quick short screen passes. We saw him win in the middle on that last play, and we saw him win in the middle once again on this zone beater. Once again, Tillman impressed, top of your screen, asked to win this slant route. They are going to put him on that route consistently because he's just dominated so far. Again, great job using his hands, not trying to do too much. Just uses his body, uses his leverage, gets towards the middle of the field. Again, also does a good job using his body. He always sets himself up for the quarterback. He gives him a nice clean throwing lane, which is why a lot of these passes are so accurate, so there, even when these aren't really great quarterbacks in DTR, Deshaun Watson, and Jameis Winston. We're going to look at the route here, but the actual play is just kind of a lot of tomfoolery, to be honest. You have Deshaun Watson, should tell you all you need to know about what are we doing, but this is essentially going to be a deep corner route that just kind of gets screwed up because the play is just wonky. Again, flea flicker, Deshaun Watson has the ball. He does a good job breaking out here, actually. I would like to see him just try and get a sharp cut, try and get to the numbers, but it seemed like either he read this wrong, and here's where I honestly don't know if he should have, if he was told directly, go to the end zone, Watson doesn't have time to make a read, we're just going to pitch in the ball and have him chuck it to the end zone, or if it was more of an option where if they're on the same page, hit the sidelines, or if there's space, then go to the end zone. I honestly have no idea because he does go in the end zone where he doesn't have nearly the separation. He doesn't have the angle where the defender's already closing in that way. And most importantly, the safety is there as well, so he's running into double coverage. It's overthrown, which is honestly for the best. But that could be on Tillman. It could be on the offensive coordinator. We really have no way of knowing at the end of the day. But either way, not a tragic play, just something that you would like to see cleaned up by either party. This is the part of the video we've all been waiting for. Jameis Winston back at center. Deep ball from Tillman, and this is just going to be a very, very deep post. You'll see. Good job getting off the line. And he gets down there really quickly. You see number 21 on his hip, and there's space. You see the safety is starting to rotate back. That's his responsibility. Tillman kind of realizes, but he's past this corner. If there was no safety help, this would be a fairly easy throw. However, the safety is coming over to help, making a dart. You see it right here. Again, like I'm talking about. That corner is absolutely toast. Tillman has him. Now it's just a one-on-one with the safety. If he can just take an angle to get behind the safety, this is a touchdown. Now, Winston is, he's ready to air this thing out. He puts it down the field. It's honestly right there. You can see it's in the defender's hands right now. If he just lofts that over a little bit, if Tillman just gets a half a step, can come around that, that is a massive play, and that's a completion. Just a good play by the defender, breaking on it, tips it in the air, and Tillman is there, but he does a good job getting downfield. That's a game of inches. He did a good job running his route. Just, you'd either like to see Watson, anticipate that better and throw it maybe a little earlier, maybe not chuck it 50 yards down the field on that play, maybe only just kind of when he's open, throw a 30-yard post instead. But either way, solid route by Tillman, and it's nice to see Jameis is loving Tillman on these deep shots. It's a great throw. It's a great sign of things to come for fantasy football. You had to know I was only talking like that because to end out the video, he gets one more shot. Winston to Tillman. It's going to be a double move. No safety help. He kind of just does a nice little stutter right here at about the 35. Hits and go, and the safety is just completely lost. Now we'll see this play out. Great job by Tillman. Sells it like he's going on a post route or corner route. Tillman sells it like he's running a crosser here and then just bites violently. He uses his footwork, so great there. The quarterback's honestly in a pretty good position to flip his hips and get back to the ball, but Tillman just breaks with such great speed, not missing a beat. Runs by the man. 39 is in the dust, and Winston loading that deep ball up and hitting Tillman for a massive gain. That's something that we can expect to see on a regular basis. Winston is willing to chuck the ball downfield, and it doesn't matter if he's going to miss that first one. He's going to come right back down to Tillman, which at the end of the day, if those opportunities are given to him, if they're willing to take more than one of those shots a game, there's a good chance with the talent of Tillman that he's going to come down with a big play and a big touchdown. After watching the film, my verdict is Tillman can be a legit wide receiver 2 for the rest of the season with high-end wide receiver 2 upside, and getting him essentially for free off the waiver wire, that is league-winning upside right here. Tillman, I like the signs I saw coming out of college. He looked like a good prospect. He got the stamp of approval from 2 other elite receivers that know ball, that know film, a little bit better than me having played the position. So good signs there. And the most underrated part of what I saw, Jameis Winston is willing to huck the ball. He may suck for NFL teams, but he is fantastic for fantasy. And I cannot overstate how big of an upgrade from a fantasy perspective going from Deshaun Watson to Jameis Winston really is for Tillman. He's a fantastic player. There's little target competition. He's able to alpha targets with his fantastic size, frame, and he also has a phenomenal yak ability with the potential, combined with that deep threat, great yak ability. He can routinely score 18, 20-point games as we saw in weeks 7 and 8. I think the targets are going to stick because of the passing volume from Jameis Winston, and I think the talent with Tillman is legit. he can truly be a league winner in 2024 fantasy football.